Hey YouTube, Tweak here, bringing you all an update to my Volcanic Yugioh deck profile for post the 2025 Megatins. We have the new Queen of the Blazing Domain in the Megatins released as a world premiere, so it's a really awesome card to use in the Volcanic deck, just with their overall destruction and pyro setup that you can do in the deck. So with the different changes I've made since the last update to the deck as well, and the new addition of Queen of the Blazing Domain, it just helps for an overall fun, consistent pyro burn deck altogether. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. Our original boss monster is still Volcanic Emperor. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 pyro monsters or 1 Blaze Accelerator card from your face-up field and or graveyard. You can only special summon Volcanic Emperor once per turn, and when summoned this way, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each banished pyro card. Then you can set 1 Volcanic Trap directly from your deck. Each time your opponent special summons a monster, inflict 500 points to your damage. So this card's all about burn damage, but also having the setup for some of our other cards to then use for additional burn damage. Definitely makes for an easy boss monster that once again just needs the Blaze Accelerator card to then use for the banished of its cost to summon. We're also running the 3 copies of Volcanic Trooper. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 Volcanic card from your deck to your hand, except for Volcanic Trooper. You can discard 1 card to special summon a bomb token onto the field, to your opponent's field, and each time one is destroyed, its controller takes 500 damage. So the additional destruction power on top of the setup of other cards in our graveyard just gives us more of that resource to rely on, thanks to Trooper as well, being one of our better cards to normal or special summon alongside cards like Volcano Rocket. We're also running 3 copies of Volcanic Rimfire. With this card is sent to the graveyard, you can activate one of these effects. You can only use each effect once per turn. If you can banish this card from your graveyard to send 1 Volcanic monster from your deck to the graveyard, except for Rimfire, which can then in turn help to then set up cards like our Scattershot for the added additional monster off of our monster to then use for the Volcanic card as well, depending on the one we send. Or banish 1 Blaze Accelerator card from your face-up field or graveyard to place 1 Blaze Accelerator continuous spell from your hand or deck face-up on the field, giving you the change for additional cards, being able to swap out our Blaze Accelerator, Volcanic Blaze Accelerator, which can also be one of the Volcanic cards for the setup, to then go into Blaze Accelerator Reload using that card also. The other 3 ofs we run include the 3 copies of Volcanic Scattershot. If it's sent to the graveyard, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. If it's sent to the graveyard, be the effect of a Blaze Accelerator. You can send 2 Volcanic Scattershots from your hand and our deck to the graveyard to destroy all cards your opponent control. So while we do have the setup of this card, just being able to then destroy all cards if it was sent off of a Blaze Accelerator, can then also inflict the 1500 points of burn damage to our opponent on top of the destruction power this card can hold on their own turn as well. And then 2 copies of Volcanic Rocket. I'm running 2 of this card. It just, when it's summoned, you can add a Blaze Accelerator card from your deck to your hand, so giving you search for the as aforementioned cards before, but then also mixing it around with the new card we are running, which is the Queen of the Blazing Domain. With this monster, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. If it's in your hand, you can target up to 2 cards you control, including a face-up spell or trap, destroy them, and if you do special summon this card, if you destroyed 1 card, return this card to the hand during the end phase of this turn, or if you destroyed 2, this card gains this effect instead. Any monster sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. You can use this effect of Queen of the Blazing Domain once per turn, but it gives you the added effect to then just have any card your opponent gets destroyed banished, so working well with the Scattershot option to then destroy those cards and not even have them go to the graveyard. We have the face-up card in the form of our Blaze Accelerator to destroy as well, in terms for the needed cards to destroy to summon out our Queen of the Blazing Domain as well. With the rest of the main deck monsters just being 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. For the hand trap lockdown, we're running this along with the impermanence in the deck for the cards to respond against our opponent if we end up going second against them, or just to have in our hand after we set up our field. For the spells, 3 copies of Volcanic Blaze Accelerator. Activate this card by sending 1 Blaze Accelerator card from your hand or deck or face on the field to the graveyard. You can only control 1 Volcanic Blaze Accelerator. Once per turn during the main phase, you can special summon a Volcanic monster from your hand, and once per turn you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, send 1 level 1 Pyro from your deck to the graveyard to destroy that monster. So the level 1 Pyros we have are the Rimfires, which then when they're set up have the additional effect to send an additional Volcanic monster after banishing this one, or banishing the Blaze Accelerator to place a Blaze Accelerator continuous power trap to then use that card to go into reload after that. And then the 1 original Blaze Accelerator, so we have the card to send off of the Volcanic Blaze Accelerator to the graveyard to then use as well for the Volcanic Blaze Accelerator from your hand, deck, or face up on the field for this card as well to then be able to use. The 3 copies of Fire Ejection. You send a Pyro monster from your deck to the graveyard. If you send a Volcanic monster, you can apply one of these effects. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to its level times 100, or special summon a bomb token to your opponent's field. Each time one is destroyed, its controller takes 500 damage, which this card can also just help to set up the Volcanic Emperor in the graveyard as well, being the Pyro monster that we send off of this card as well, to then summon back onto the field. The 2 copies of Oil. Target up to 2 level 4 or lower fire monsters with different names in your graveyard, add them to your hand. So cards to then just be able to reuse as hand resources for our other cards. The 3 copies of Fire Recovery, being able to target a fire monster in your graveyard, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon that targeted monster. So then we can get back our summon play effects, whether they be cards like Volcanic Rocket or our Volcanic Trooper, to then always rely on those summons and then sending other cards from our hand to the graveyard to then use in the graveyard afterwards. With the rest of the main deck spells being 1 Bonfire and the 1 Call by the Grave, just having additional Pyro Search and then shut down of any of our opponent's hand traps they may try to use against us when trying to disrupt our graveyard setup plays. And then for the traps, 3 copies of Blaze Accelerator Reload. This card's name becomes Tri-Blaze Accelerator while in the spell and trap card zone. During the main phase, you can send 1 Volcanic card from your hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card. You can use this effect of Reload once per turn, and during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to send a Volcanic card from your deck to the graveyard. So this is the trap to rely on your opponent's turn to then send and set up the Scatter Shot play, being able to activate it during your opponent's turn to then have the destruction of all monsters they control using your Volcanic Scatter Shot. The 2 Volcanic Inferno for the added search as mentioned before, being able to add a Volcanic card off of cards like Volcanic Trooper or then our Volcanic Emperor, depending on the card we want to search and set up. When your opponent effects a monster effect on the field, you can banish a Pyro monster from your graveyard to inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Then if you banish a Volcanic monster to activate the effect, you can negate that effect. And during your opponent's end phase, you can target up to 2 of your Volcanic monsters that are banished and or in your graveyard, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, giving you recycle power with this continuous trap also. With the rest of the traps in the main deck being the 1 Goes in Match, just because the majority of cards we do run are Fire, and then the 3 Imperm to run with the hand trap lineup along with the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Good for just the reaction time, and then the response against our opponent if we go first against them or second regardless. And then for the extra deck, we have the 1 copy of Salamangreat Almirage just to set up more of our Volcanic Pyro monsters in the graveyard with just our normal summon of a level 1000 attack point monster or less. The 1 Nightmare Phoenix, along with the 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer, the 1 Doolittle Chimera, the 1 Sunlight Wolf, and the 1 Promethean Princess. For our bigger links, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, the 1 Amblo Whale, the 1 Raging Phoenix, and the 1 Topologic Bomber Dragon. And then our Xyz monsters being the 1 Tantrum Toddler, the 1 Assembled Nightingale, and we don't make them often, but we do have the Volcanic Rocket for level 4 plays to then go into rank 4 Xyz, so the 1 Infernal Flame Banshee, the 1 Dugaris, and then the 1 Gaga Cowboy to finish off our extra deck from there. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as mentioned, Queen of the Blazing Domain has to be targeting 2 cards you control, including a face-up spell or trap to destroy them. So then we can use our Volcanic Trooper for its summon to then add a Volcanic card from our deck to our hand. This can add, in turn, the Volcanic Blaze Accelerator. You activate this card by sending a Blaze Accelerator from your hand or deck or face on the field to the graveyard. So then you send the Blaze Accelerator, summoning and activating this card as well. Then being able to, once per turn during main phase, special summon a Volcanic monster from your hand. So this can also in turn give you access to the link plays you may want to set up as well for those summons, but having that additional Volcanic monster, depending on your search as well, can give you 1 additional play from the hand as well. Your Volcanic Rocket can then search out your Blaze Accelerator Reload if this is the card off of the search to go for. Then the Link 2 option with these 2 cards can give you an additional Link monster to summon out to use, depending on the resources your opponent may have for those monsters as well. If not, you can save that play with the 2 monsters you have on the field as well, For then you can have your Blazing Domain to then destroy the 2 cards we have for the summon of this monster onto the field. Which, once again, it has to be up to 2, so you can leave your 1 monster on the field if you wish with the summon of these 2 cards. You can go for the Link 2 play using the 2 volcanic monsters as well to summon out our Sunlight Wolf, then use the Queen Blazing Domain to destroy our Accelerator to summon this card to the arrow that Sunlight Wolf points to, adding back the fire monster of choice off of that destruction. And this is after you use the Volcanic Blaze Accelerator, obviously, as well, for the special summon of your additional monster. Then having that resource, you can use the 3 to go into your Link 3 play of your Promethean Princess from there, and then also have the additional setup for another monster back from the graveyard to the field for the summon as well, being able to use your Promethean Princess for the restriction of fire monsters, but being able to target a fire monster you control and have that card for the special summon, being able to use the effect during your main phase to special summon a fire monster from your graveyard back onto the field, so the Queen of the Blazing Domains to come back onto the field to reuse again after that. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.